There, welcome back to Askamy. I have a question today from Linda. Linda says, I hope you can shed some of your brilliant light on this. After 6 years of constant stress from grief, moving, and wildfires, I'm still having days of depersonalization. I have Paul David's book and have read his helpful take on the condition on his website. My GP and CBT coach feel that it's a normal response after years of unrelenting stress. And I realize some folks actually pay money for recreational drugs to feel this way. But it's awful. I know what you resist persists. I'm still hoping you might have some thoughts. Thank you as always for your time and wisdom. So, Linda, I think it's just really simple, not necessarily easy or wanted or any of that, but very, very simple, where you want to place your curiosity, where you want to get really dumb and place your curiosity. And it's when you go through what's happening and everyone says it's a normal response and some people pay for this feeling and all of that, but these three little words, but it's awful. And there's no question that it feels awful for you. But your whole question leading up to that is how an experience of depersonalization, whatever that really means. I mean, that experience, it's a temporary experience of not feeling fully grounded in your body, however that shows up for you. That feeling, you kind of say throughout, it's not awful. These people say it's normal. These people say it's okay. Some people love this and pay for it, but it's awful. So again, the experience in and of itself, like anything, is not anything. It is not wonderful. We could say that to all the people paying money to feel this. It's not inherently wonderful. It's also not inherently awful. So something's coming in when this experience happens. There's a super automatic, I'm sure, overlay, a little thought that comes in that says, this is awful. I don't like this. This shouldn't be happening. Whatever that is your experience of awful. Depersonalization is not your experience of awful. It's I don't even know what you'd call it or how you'd talk about it, but it's just the experience that's happening. It's just the sensations and the thoughts and whatever it is. It's just what's arising. It's not inherently awful. But for you, there's something that comes in. And for all of us, when we experience anything as inherently awful or inherently wonderful, that's the interpretation. It's not the sensations and the energy and all of that in and of themselves. It's not even possible. It's the interpretation. So it's really simple. Again, maybe not where you want to look, but very, very simple where you can look to start to really see this differently. That's where your curiosity just goes straight in. Wow, how is it? Why is it? What's going on that this experience for me instantly feels awful? What does that even mean? What in it is awful? What in it is awful? Go into the sensations that show up in the body. Maybe your body feels a little different or your head feels a little fuzzy. Be in that. Is that awful? Can you find awful actually in that experience, in those sensations? Is there awful in there? Is there awful in your mind getting kind of fuzzy? Or is awful a thought that comes in after the fact? And after the fact, of course, means really, really quickly, but is that an interpretation? Is that just a habitual interpretation? What if, and these are just things for you to play with, Linda, like, what if it's not awful? What if you don't mind that experience, but there's an overlay that comes in and says, awful, awful, make it go away. And then, as you say, what you resist persists and it just gets bigger. So all of this is just a way to kind of lean into this. And again, the mind might be like, nope, I hate that idea. This is awful. End of story. It has to stop. And, it's hard when that happens because it's just a recipe for suffering. If you're willing, and I think you are, or you wouldn't have sent this, to really just wade into this, swim through the sensations and the energy and look at the thoughts and be so insanely curious about this, and what it is that makes it awful, where the awful is. Find the awful in this whole experience. And what if it's not really awful? What if that is just a habitual label that comes in and it isn't? And you can kind of play with it in that way too. Given that it's happening, and it's been happening for a while, obviously, it's really to our benefit to really look at this and get familiar with it and kind of look at it through the eyes of curiosity in this way. So I hope that's helpful. Again, for everyone, this applies to any experience, not just, it has nothing to do with depersonalization. It's anything. It's a great way to explore what's actually here rather than just what the mind tells us. So thanks for sending it, Linda. Send your questions to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.